Oi, oi, and welcome to the Orient Outlook Podcast, sponsored by Carol Langley Florist, with myself, Stephen Nussbaum, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, South Stand chum, the bearded legend, the one and only, the Daddy-O, it's Mr. Paul Levy.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello everybody, welcome back. This is episode number 315, and just want to, as always, give a thank you to everybody who tuned into last week's show. This week, we've got news from the last week, so a bit of a roundup there. Quick review of our match up at Hartlepool from this weekend. And we've also got very special guest making his Orient Outlook podcast debut. Paul Smyth is waiting for us on the phone right now. So without further ado, let's crack on. And as always, we start with a word from our sponsors.
We certainly do. So the podcast is sponsored by Carol Langley Florist, who are an established business. They are based in Chingford and they specialise in bespoke flowers sourced from the finest growers in the world. They can do anything from a simple thank you to massive wedding and event packages, and they offer all O's fans and staff a lovely 15% off. That could give you quite the saving if you have a lot of money or a big event coming up. So to get in touch with John and their fantastic team, you can give them a call on 0208 529 4130, or they guys are on social media. They're on Twitter. You can find them at Carol Langley E4, or you can find John, head honcho, at Essex Biz. You can find the team on Instagram at Carol Langley Florist, and you can also find the guys on Facebook at Carol Langley Florist.
Nicely done. So let's, without further ado, move on to our special guest who is joining us on the phone this evening. He is our number 7. He has turned out to be an astronomical signing for us. He is the London Football Awards EFL Player of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Paul Smyth. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening, Paul. Great to have you on. Let's kick off straight away because we know that time is precious this evening. Tell us your thoughts on yesterday's game.
No, I thought we kind of dominated the game as per usual in most of the games this season, and obviously getting a 1-0 lead just at the start of the second half, and then conceding was just a bit frustrating towards the end of the game, because throughout the whole season we've been seeing games out and seeing the 1-0 wins out, 2-0 wins out, and obviously conceding that later on and losing the momentum of the game. It was just heartbreaking because the teams below us kind of lost and the points would have went in our favour. But again, it's just one of those things. It's football. It happens. Thankfully, we got another game on Saturday, a big one as well, Carlisle. So yeah, can't really put much more to it.
You mentioned not seeing the game out. Is that something that what am I looking for?
It's crept into
the game.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just one mistake, literally just one mistake, and caused them a goal. But other than that, I thought, like I said, we dominated the whole game, and I don't think Hartlepool really had a sniff in the first half, nor the second half, until they actually scored, and they just started building momentum from there, and it was just tough for us to get our momentum back. So it was just kind of just to see the game out and take the point and get on to Saturday. So I don't think it's crept into the game. I just think it was just one of those unfortunate moments where someone makes a mistake and they capitalise from it.
Yeah, similar situation. I think the kind of root of that question was we held a sort of decent 2-0 lead up until the sort of 87th minute last week against Colchester, and then obviously ended up drawing the game. So again, the positive out of it is that we're not losing games, but by the same token, we've dropped points from winning positions.
Of course, it's football in general, to be fair. I think, like I said, momentum's one of the biggest things in football. Once you gather that momentum, you got the crowd behind you, especially away from home, it's tough. They got the home fans with them and things like that, and especially towards the back end of the season, some teams are fighting for relegation, some teams are fighting to get into the top 4. So no matter what game you play from now to the end of the season, it's going to be tough. I think we just got to play to who we are and play how we play, and hopefully we can see the season out.
And you obviously scored your 10th goal of the season yesterday, Paul. Talk us through that one.
No, it was, I think, good build-up play. Played out from the back and got the ball wide to Sully. Sully cut inside, plays the Monks, and I just stayed wide because I knew the fullback tends to be very, very high. And I was just hoping at the time that he was high, and he was. Monks cut inside in the middle of the pitch, played it to me, and I had a chance to go 1v1 with a defender, and that's my bread and butter. It's something I enjoy doing, and cut inside on my left foot and thought I'd have a shot. Why not? Because I've scored a couple of goals this season and I'm just enjoying my football at the time, and thankfully it went into the back of the net, but it's unfortunate we couldn't get the 3 points.
You came off during yesterday's game as well. What happened? I think I heard that you'd sort of, on the commentary, that you'd sort of taken a bit of a knock on the ankle. Like, are you okay? Are you suffering today?
I'm just stiff today, but no, I'm all good. Just a bit of swelling and just been icing all day to get the swelling down. I'll be fine for Saturday, which is a good thing.
It's been an amazing season for the club so far, Paul. 37 games in, the OSIP top of the league with just 9 games left. What are your thoughts on the season so far?
It's been a fantastic season. I think this season we broke so many records as well, which is always a positive thing to do. And I don't think we've dropped from the first position the whole season. So it says it itself. We're there for a reason, and it shows. And teams around us obviously will fear. And when we go to their place, like we've been doing all season, we've been putting teams to bed and playing to the way the gaffer wants us to play, which is just a full flow and attacking football team and defend the box well and attack the box well. So I think this season's been absolutely brilliant for me as well, because obviously personally last year was probably the worst season I've had over here, with the amount of injuries I had, and I just wanted this year to be strong and to stay fit and just show what I can actually do and showcase to the people that I'm actually a good player, because not really many people used to see that last year. So I'm just happy to continue to stay fit and then play as many games as possible.
Could you feel that at the back end of last season? So obviously you were injured for quite a bit of the last season, but then came back quite strongly and then scored some amazing goals at the back end of last season. Could you feel your momentum at the back end of last season carrying you through into this season?
Massively. I just think it was positivity as well, because once I got my first injury, I thought, right, once I come back from here, that's me. Came back one game, got injured again. It happened to me. Came back one game, got injured, and it was just like I got to the stage where I was like, what's the point? Because it was just getting so frustrating, and I never knew when I was going to get my time to shine and show what I can actually do. And thankfully, towards the back end of the season, I think it was the last 13 games or something, I was fit for all of them, and it was just give me that courage and momentum, like you says, to push on towards the next season. And I think obviously my missus having a child and having a little son has given me that drive to see out the end of the season and try and play for something and play for a contract, obviously, because I've got something to play for now and I need to provide and things like that. So it's obviously having things in the background as well is always good to help with momentum and positive thoughts and keeping playing style well. So yeah, I think the momentum last year pushed me on towards the start of this season and to where I am now. I've been doing well.
You've scored, as we mentioned earlier, you've scored 10 league goals this season. Can you pick a favourite? I mean, you've won a couple of Goal of the Month competitions along the way this season as well. Do you have a favourite goal so far this season?
Yeah, I would say Doncaster, the overhead kick, because I've never ever scored one. I've actually attempted it before when I used to play for Linfield. It was in a friendly against Sheffield United under 21s. I tried an overhead kick and hit the crossbar. Unfortunately, it didn't go in, but it's a very rare moment. It never really happens in football, and when it does, it's a special moment. So I'd probably say the Doncaster one, and second to that would be the Barrow one last year, scoring from the touchline. It was just. Yeah. It was just a goal I've never scored, and it was just brilliant.
That was an unreal goal. I commend you on that. Was that the best? Are they the best 2 goals of your career, Paul, or have you scored better previously?
I think they're all different, like the meaning behind them, to be fair, because I'd say up there would be scoring on my debut for Northern Ireland first team. It's against South Korea at Windsor Park. I think that was always massive. To get a chance to play for your country is just amazing, and to even score on your debut just makes it even better. So that would be up there. But like I said, it was just the moments of goals are just makes it that little bit special.
In terms of this season, I mean, you've mentioned the momentum that you picked up at the back end of last season that seems to have taken you into this season, and it's treating you very well so far. And you've won the EFL Player of the Year at the London Awards. How did you feel when your name was called out as the winner of that particular award?
Obviously amazed and then proud because of, again, I don't like talking about it, but last year was tough for me, and I just when my name was called out, I just chuffed because of how it's been so far for me when I came to England. It's been a roller coaster up and down, and when Richie Wellens came in, he gave me the trust and the faith in me to perform to who I am, and I've been able to do that this season, and I've been getting rewards, and it obviously makes it even sweeter and just shows that the quality that I have is there. It's just being able to showcase it, and like I says, with the gaffer giving me that freedom, people are recognising what I can do, and hopefully I can keep pushing forward this season. But again, people dream about getting rewards like that and being invited to ceremonies like that, and it was just a massive occasion. The names there were just crazy. I've never ever thought I'd be in a room with so many names like that, and even to pick up an award, it was just even sweeter.
Do you set yourself targets at the beginning of each season? Like, I don't know, how many games you play, how many goals you score, how many assists? Do you set yourself stuff like that, and sort of where are you tracking at the moment?
Yeah, I think every footballer I'd like to think every footballer would set themselves targets and goals just to give them that little bit of edge to try and hit that target. But mine's obviously, because the last year was to play 30 games or more, and that was my target. And if anything else came with that, that's just a bonus to me. And thankfully this season I've played 30, so I can hopefully just continue on until the end of the season and play the remaining 9 games of the season. So that was my target, and I've hit it. Now I'll probably set another one just to see out the season and hopefully see very well.
Yeah.
You mentioned Richie Wellens giving you the freedom to play and be creative. What makes Richie Wellens such a good manager? So from our perspective, it seems like he's a really good fit for Orient. It's been an amazing year. But from a player's perspective, Paul, what makes Richie such a good manager?
He's young, and he understands the game. He's been a part of it. He's played in it. He's been treated well, been treated poorly. Like, he understands a footballer itself, and I think that's what makes it even better, because his man management to players is outstanding, and that's what I think. That's why you see us play so well, because everyone's together. It's a close, tight-knit group, and it's probably one of the best training rooms I've been a part of, and obviously the staff are there as well included. It's been absolutely brilliant, and obviously he knows football really well. His tactics are brilliant. He watches the games really closely and gives us options to play, and we just got to provide for him on the Saturday, which is always even better when you win. But like I said, his man management's been absolutely brilliant this season, and I think he's just give the licence and the freedom for us to play football and enjoy it again.
We feel that when we listen to his pre-match and post-match, there's a lot of fine detail that helps to influence how we're going to set up against teams. Does that help you? Do you get kind of like one-to-one feedback, and look, this is what you're going to be up against, this is what they like to do? Because you mentioned earlier about the Hartlepool fullback coming quite high. Does that help you and influence how you then play in the game?
Massively, yeah. Once I found out that the Hartlepool fullback goes so far forward, or wing-back should I say, goes so far forward, it leaves me one-on-one with the centre-half. And that's my dream, because I know I'm quicker than probably any centre-half in this league. So once I get one-on-one, it makes my life so much easier. And the gaffer was just like to me, stay high, pin him back as far as you can, don't come back, let Brownie defend. And I've kind of felt sorry for Brownie, because he had to defend against 2v1. But Brownie's a brilliant player. He's in the team for a reason. And I was just sitting so high just to get the ball and go 1v1. And I think the first half showed that, and second half showed it again when I got my goal.
So, Paul, we had a lot of listener questions when we announced you were coming on the podcast. There was a lot of questions around a new contract being signed. Are you able to give any updates on that?
I literally have no update at the moment, but obviously, hopefully something in the end of the season that comes my way will be even better. So, unfortunately, I have nothing to update you with at the moment, but we'll just wait and see.
Cool. In terms of Les LK52 said, how confident are the squad they can get over the line? Which I'm assuming he means promotion, but I mean, obviously we're first. It'd be a shame not to be promoted as champions, but just in terms of promotion, how confident are the squad in delivering on that?
I think you have to be confident in general when you're playing football. You play football to win trophies, everyone does. And at the position we're sitting in now is obviously unbelievable from the position we were last year. But I don't like getting too far ahead of myself. I like to take game by game and focus on a game at a time, because you can't get too excited because you never know what could happen. So I think the boys are excited, and the changing rooms, the buzz around it is brilliant. We're all happy, we're all full of beans, and hopefully we can just kick through and push on. So we'll wait and see. We've got 9 games to go, and hopefully we can finish the job.
In terms of wins, there's not been too many losses this season, but do you kind of allow yourself to celebrate the wins, and kind of do you get a little bit down with losses or anything like that? Does it affect you that way, or are you pretty consistent? i.e. not getting too high with the highs or low with the lows? How do you respond? I
am the most bipolar person in the world. I score, I'd be the happiest man on the earth. If we lose, I just get frustrated. But since having a kid, it sometimes makes you just forget about football. When you come home, you just switch off and you focus on family time, because you can't bring the negatives home if there are any negatives. Obviously, bring the positives home, because it's a good thing and it's a good feeling. But I just think, I'm just a big bipolar person.
We had a few tweets about some of the chants that the Orient fans have got for you. So we had Nuriel2, who said, what are Paul's thoughts on the Paul Smyth's On Fire chant? And we also had Gary Talbot saying, does Paul rate the Joy Division song, which is obviously the Smith will tear you apart again. Do you have a favourite fan chant?
I love the Paul Smyth's On Fire, only because when I scored on my international debut, I had the whole club singing it in Windsor Park. They sang that song, and it was just like one of the best moments I've had in football. So to hear the Orient fans sing it again and bring it back, it's brilliant. Brought back a lot of memories, and hopefully they continue singing it until the last game of the season. So I'd say the Paul Smyth's On Fire. That'd be the best one.
Run and Ref with GC asked, are you permanently based in the London area? Your family are all with you. Are you set up here? Because obviously, you've come from Ireland. Are you kind of settled here in London now?
Unfortunately, we don't have any other family but me and my missus and my little man. So sometimes it gets tough for her, which is always hard because I don't like seeing her upset. But it does get tough for her, and when she has no mum or dad around to support her, when I have to stay in a hotel sometimes, it gets tough. So but we're all settled. We're happy where we are, and I'm enjoying football. And as you can see on the pitch, I'm playing with a smile on my face, and that's obviously because I'm happy at home as well.
Yeah, absolutely, very important. PDR 1112 says, what player, past or present, do you try to base your playing style on, and why?
I would love to say George Best. I've seen so many clips of him, and he just seemed like jinky, sharp. Even on the pitches he played on were absolutely diabolical, but he just seemed to make the ball stick, and it worked. And he just admired to watch a player to dribble with the ball. He was just a brilliant dribbler, and he took on so many players. A bit like Messi as well. I mean, I'm the same height as Messi, so probably think I can claim. But yeah, I'd probably say Messi and George Best, because the way they dribble and the way they attack football and just enjoy it and play with a smile on their face, and that's the way I like to play my football.
Peter Foreman 2 asks, has one of your somersault celebrations ever gone wrong?
Not, touch wood, not
Good.
At the moment, but when I was a kid, I was showing off in front of my friends. I was like, look what I can do. So I thought, let me do a backflip for them. And as I've done my backflip, I didn't commit with it, and I landed right on top of my head. So I've got up as a kid. I was thinking, I've got to be brave here. I've got to run home and be brave as if like nothing happened. So once I got to my front door, I was just screaming in tears because it was so painful. But no, at the moment, since I turned professional, nothing's went wrong. So touch wood, it stays that way.
Go on. I think, did I read or hear you were a gymnast younger on, and that's where it's all stemmed from?
No, everyone asks me this. I've never ever done gymnastics. Never. I've always done trampolining. I've always had a trampoline in my back garden, and I've always been that little rebel that likes to try new things and play on the dangerous side of things. And I always tried to do my backflips, front flips, and things like that. So I think that's where I learned it from, and I've always loved trampolining. I did GCSE PE, and I had to choose a sport, and I chose trampoline over football. So that was when I was younger, and I've just took it on to the grass, and I'm just enjoying it. And it's a celebration. It's like a trademark, and everyone knows it and loves it. So I can't really change it.
Rob Ben 5980461 said, prior to your most recent injury, how close do you feel that you were to a recall to the Northern Ireland squad?
I think I was back fit when the team was called out, so I actually thought I was going to get called up with the form that I was in. I mean, I had 9 goals, and I was probably the most informed player at the squad at the time. And when the squad came out, I didn't see my name, and I was obviously frustrated and upset because I was doing so well. But then, if I had get chosen, I'd have missed a couple of Leyton Orient games. So I kind of think there's a silver lining to everything, and obviously for me to not be picked, but to play the 2 games that I would have missed out on if I was chosen, was the silver lining. So again, it's frustrating, but it's football.
Billy Reid kind of had a question around your international career, Paul, asking about the Euros next summer. Is that a long-term goal for you to get into that Northern Ireland squad?
Of course, yes. Everyone wants to play in a European Championship. I was 16 years of age when I got called up to the Northern Ireland squad when they were at the Euros in France, and it was one of the best experiences ever. I wasn't a professional at the time, and that gave me the drive to be like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a professional footballer to get to stages like this, and I think that was my drive to push me to get to where I am now. And yes, of course, everyone wants to get the European Championship, and hopefully, touch wood, we get there, and I'm picked in the squad.
Bit of a thinking question here for you. Boatsy asks, can we ask you what your ideal 5-a-side team would be?
Is this out of the Leyton Orient team or just in general?
It was a general one.
We don't want to get you into trouble with your teammates, Paul, so let's just say it's a general
We're not
one,
setting you up for a fall here, mate. But if you want to do Leyton Orient, then that's absolutely fine. I don't know how many of the players listen.
I'd say Roy Carroll in nets. I'd go Sergio Ramos, centre-back. I think he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. I'd go... Who would I have? Modric in midfield. I just think he's a masterclass, and he just makes football look so easy, and it's just a joy to watch. And then I would go with Messi, because he's a brilliant dribbler. And I'd throw myself in there. Why not play with those stars?
You'd either have to be the manager or the front man, one of the two.
No, I would love to manage them to see what it would be like, see how hard it actually would be to manage all those personalities.
Paul, I've never seen Messi put one in top bins at Brisbane Road, mate, so you've definitely got something over Messi.
Power League in Fairlot.
So Callum LOFC, you mentioned Sergio Ramos, Paul. Callum LOFC says, who has been the toughest defender you've played against?
Oh, that's a very good question, actually. Now I've got to get my thinking cap on.
I thought the other one would have been the harder question, to be honest.
The one that stands out to me would be Kieran Tierney when he was at Celtic. I was at Linfield and managed to play Celtic in a Champions League qualifier, and I managed to play against Kieran Tierney, and it was tough. It was hard to beat. He was quick. He was sharp. He kind of knew exactly what I was going to do, but it was just an experience for me because I was 17 at the time, and it was just a surreal moment. So yeah, I'd say Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, the Arsenal defender. Chris W_1 asked, what team do you support, and what made you support that team?
My team is Glasgow Celtic. I have my dad supported Celtic when he was young, and it just stemmed through the family. And that would be my boyhood club. No. But I always have a Premier League team, and that Premier League team would be Manchester United, all because of my granddad. He used to sit in Manchester United play in my granddad's room, and it's just stuck ever since.
George, best connection as well, I'm guessing, from your granddad.
Of course. And the Celtic connection would be Henrik Larsson. He was one of my idols when I was younger.
Oh, of course, Celtic. Yeah, absolutely.
Great player.
We had a question from a young listener, Rachel, who's actually your junior sponsor, Paul, and she has put forward to us a very interesting question and says, what would Paul's favourite three-course meal be? It could be anything. It doesn't have to go together necessarily. So I guess, Paul, you get a starter and a main and a dessert. So in a perfect world, what would you be picking?
Oh, that's amazing. I would probably go I'm a massive fan of wings. I'd probably go wings to start, because any restaurant I go to, I always make sure that they have wings to start. Always.
Are you a spicy wing man, or you like them plain, or pub?
Yeah. I love a buffalo wing. And then I would go probably a filet steak medium with triple cooked chips and peppercorn sauce. That's one of my favourite meals.
Very nice.
And I'd probably go with a massive cheesecake, because I am a big cheesecake fan. Any restaurant I go to has to have cheesecake. If not, we don't go anywhere near it. So that would be my 3-course meal.
The proper cheesecake, not the moussey stuff. The proper cheesecake, right?
Made, to be fair, my dad used to make cheesecakes, and he'd give me his little recipe. So when I'm feeling a cheesecake, I make my own. And to be fair, it's like 95% biscuit and a little bit of cream. So.
Oh man, that is a perfect dinner for me as well, apart from the buffalo chicken.
We won't keep you too much longer, Paul, but it's evident how much you're enjoying your football and how much winning the league and getting promoted means to you. So, I mean, I guess what would a promotions medal round your neck mean to you come the end of the season?
Massive, because I was part of the Leyton Orient team Wickham team that got promoted as well to the championship, and it was one of the best feelings in the world, get a medal put around your neck. Obviously, there was no fans there at the time, but it was just the feeling and the being around the boys and lifting that trophy was one of the best feelings I've had in football. So there's players on our team that have never experienced that, and it's just something I would love for everyone to experience in our team. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'll do everything I can, and I know the boys will do everything they can to get to see the job done. But yeah, it would mean the absolute world to me, because again I would have another medal around my neck, and it would be amazing to lift that trophy.
Yeah, that's what you all play for, but only obviously very few can go up. So that's fair. Everyone chases that buzz, don't they, of winning something.
Do you have any superstitions, Paul, before you go on the pitch?
You will not believe this. I don't know if many people know, but I've told a couple of people. I am the most nervous man ever when it comes to football. Honestly, on a Saturday, I cannot eat a thing, because if I eat anything, it comes straight back up. So before the game kicks off, I throw up all over the place.
Wow.
And there's like a certain time where I end up being sick, and it's like literally ritual. I can't stop it. I tried everything. I've tried sick tablets. I've tried the whole shebang, but nothing can keep food down, or nothing can keep it down. I just be sick. And to stop that, I tend to pour water over my head, as you probably see. I'm soaking before the game even starts. That's just to kind of calm me down and get me back into the room.
Did not realise that.
Glad we asked that question.
So what do you do for energy then? Because obviously most players' pre-match meals are based around sort of slow release energy, slow releasing carbs, that kind of stuff, to obviously make sure that during the game they've got the energy, they're not hungry, and that kind of. So what do you do to mitigate that then?
Throw anything down my stomach if I can, and if it comes back up, then so be it. But at the time, if I do be sick, to be fair, I just take an energy gel and then just keep my momentum going, because I'm usually full of beans anyway, and always lively and happy and running around like a headless chicken. So I don't really lose much energy. But yeah, my superstition would be to pour water over my head. So if you see again on Saturday, if you're there on Saturday, have a look at my shirt.
I will.
Yeah.
I will watch that now, yeah.
Everyone's going to have their eyes on your shirt, Mr. Smith, on Saturday pre-kick-off. So I guess to finish up then, Paul, like we said, 37 games in, 9 games left, or in our top of the table. It's an amazing place to be. What's your closing message to the Orient fans listening?
Keep supporting, keep singing our name, and keep backing us, because having that momentum at home, especially away as well, is always a big boost to the boys. And I know the boys always talk about it in the changing room, and the fans have been absolutely brilliant and singing the songs and just having the backing of the boys. And I'd love for more songs to be sang, more songs just to push and urge the boys on, and it would always be amazing to hear brand new songs as well. It's always the positivity that comes with it too, because again, when you play, you want to hear your fans sing, and you want to hear them sing songs, and the more songs, the better for us all, because like you said, you've got 9 massive title games to go. So hopefully the fans can back us and sing all the songs in the world, and we can see the job.
Just on that point then, if you think of a song, or you hear a song at a ground that you might be at that you want us to sing, do let us know, because we can get that fed out to fellow fans, and we can get that going. So just if you or the players hear something, just message us, and we'll see what we can do on that. But yeah, no, we obviously always want to be in good voice. Obviously, largely dictated by what we see on the pitch, I guess, at times. But no, we've had a tremendous season. A lot of that, in part, is down to your brilliance on the pitch and the team cohesion and Richie and just from top to bottom, we couldn't be prouder of where the club's at, what it's doing, and the direction travel that we're taking. So thank you for giving up this evening for us. We're very grateful to you. And we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of it.
No, I appreciate it any time. I'm free whenever, so you can call me all the time if you want.
All right, we've got that live on the podcast. We can call Paul Smyth at any time.
Same time next week, lovely stuff.
Well, 9 Cup finals left, Paul. I'd love to see more Smith stunners in front of the South Stand. I'd love to see him anywhere, to be fair. I'd love to see that flip-flop come out 9 more times this season and have a few more goals. But, mate, amazing season, and me and Paul really appreciate you coming on the podcast, buddy.
No, thank you very much. Cheers, appreciate it.
Cheers guys. All
Cheers,
the best.
Paul.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. So that was Paul Smyth live on the Orient Outlook podcast. Lovely fella, some great answers. And I'm absolutely chuffed we were able to bring him on the podcast at this point in the season. So thank you to everyone at the club who's sorted that one out. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to give you players on this podcast. So supporters club updates, 2 massive trips to tell you about, and coming up Friday the 7th of April, which is Good Friday, we're going to Salford. This one kicks off at 3 p.m. Coaches are leaving Brisbane Road at 8:30. Cost adults £42, concessions £39, and under 15s £21. That's followed up the following Saturday, the 15th of April. We're going to Sutton, this one a bit closer to home, kicking off at 3 o'clock. Coaches are leaving Brisbane Road at midday, £25 for adults, £22 for concessions, and under 15s costing you £13. All children must be with an adult, and please remember these prices do not include your match day tickets. So to book for any of those trips, you can do that in the supporters club pre or post match, or you can do so by calling the travel line on 07507 539 579.
2 pieces of AOB for you this week. First up, there are sponsorship opportunities to sponsor this very podcast next season. We'd love to hear from you if you have a business, an idea, a product you're trying to push. We would love to hear from you. Get in touch with us. You can DM us on Twitter. We're at Orient Outlook. You can email us. We are orientoutlook@outlook.com, or we are on Facebook. Just search for us, Orient Outlook Podcast on Facebook, and likewise on Instagram, Orient_Outlook_podcast. We have a variety of opportunities to suit your budget and to suit the kind of exposure that you're looking for. So please, if you're interested in being a part of what we're creating here and getting players like Paul Smyth on the podcast, and we've had the board and Richie and everyone. And so, yeah, if you're interested in pushing your solution, your product, your business, trying to get, build that out, then we can probably help you with that. And we have a pretty good reach on all levels of social media and also our listenership as well.
Great stuff. Second piece of AOB, and a very sad piece of news into Orient Outlook Podcast House this week, as we were saddened to learn of the passing of Malcolm Sanderson late last week. He was a friend of ours, and many will know Malcolm, who travelled 2 away games with his son Daniel and the family. Really, really sad news. We wish all the family a long life, and we send our condolences over to you. Very, very sad news that we're having to bring you this week.
Yeah. So let's move on then to the week that was, the past week of news. Happy Monday, the 20th of March. We start the week off with a quiet day at the club. No news to report, so we'll move on.
Yeah, to Huawei Tuesday, the 21st of March. Things you love to see as Lawrence Vigouroux and Idris El Mazouni visited Malmesbury Primary School, where they discussed the issue of discrimination in football with the students, along with taking parts in PE. It must be great to have, table-topping Leyton Orient players, first-choice goalkeeper, and Idris, who's had an amazing season, come to your school. Imagine supporting Orient and Viggs is there and Idris is there.
Taking your PE lesson.
Amazing.
Buzzing. As most will know, Richie said there was a behind closed doors friendly against Southend United. That took place on Tuesday. Obviously getting valuable minutes in the legs of many players, and Orient, not that it's incidental, but they won the game 5-2.
Yeah.
We don't know who played particularly, what formations or anything like that, but the Orient team won 5-2.
Yeah, very little details come out about that one, but good to see the O's get a win in that one. Anyway,
absolutely. Vital minutes is more important. He was at the training ground, so that's why it was behind closed doors.
Yeah, in the evening there were 3 League 2 fixtures played, and the one all O's fans were keeping a close eye on was Bradford versus Carlisle. That game ended up being a goalless draw. That moved Carlisle into 3rd place above Northampton on goal difference on 66 points, which meant those 2 teams were both 7 points behind the O's, having played one game more than us. So probably the best outcome we could hope for. 0-0 draw for that
That's
one.
exactly right. Wednesday the 22nd of March, Arundel and Ruel Sotiriou and Lenny Holden visited George Mitchell Primary School today to talk about their football inspirations, and also they held a Q&A in the school hall before heading into the classroom for an anti-discrimination workshop. Great to see more work going on with the community and the players putting themselves out there.
Really good. Thursday the 23rd of March, in Welling United announced that Daniel Nkrumah had rejoined them on loan until the end of the season. So we wish Dan a massive good luck. Obviously he was there earlier in the season and was doing quite well actually.
Yeah,
he got a
injured.
recall, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got recalled, ended up on the bench for like 1 or 2 games when we had a bit of an injury crisis up top. Obviously never got on the pitch. Gone back to Welling after being heavily linked with Middlesbrough and West Brom in the most recent transfer window. So hopefully Dan goes and gets some good experience at Welling, comes back in the season ready to push on, maybe fight for a place in the squad.
Yeah, things you love to see. At 4 o'clock, the club revealed their season ticket pricing for the 23-24 season, with early bird pricing available until 5 o'clock on Friday, the 2nd of June. Mark Devlin said in the press release that we have had to increase our prices as we seek to continue to grow and move up the league, but also to meet the challenge of operating a football club in the current financial climate. I believe our prices are very competitive, keep football affordable, offer excellent value for money and provide exclusive benefits. Our existing season card holders, those who have already been on the journey with the club, have been rewarded with access to the best prices, and we still offer fantastic value for families, especially in the community stand.
Yeah, so once again, that early bird cut-off is 5 p.m. Friday, 2nd of June. That's quite a saving from the actual price, the early bird prices. So make sure to renew by that date. So Friday, the 24th of March in, quiet day at the club. Again, no news to report as we move on.
Yep, Saturday the 25th of March. On this day, 43 years ago, a legend was born. The man sitting to my left as we sit here. So happy, well, we're coming on to him. Happy birthday to my great friend of over 38 years, nearly 40 years now, and my South Stand chum and yours, Mr. Steve Nussbaum. Happy birthday.
Thank you, mate.
Hope you enjoyed Back to the Future and you had a great day.
It was good, apart from having COVID in the week,
last week,
which I'm now over. It was all good. Yeah, good show. Highly recommend. And I didn't tell you this, I had Alex Neil, Stoke manager, in front of me with his 3 kids and his missus. Yeah, obviously in London because there's no championship football. He's only 41, Alex Neil, when I googled him. He looks about 51. Round. Very tough paper round. So, also on Saturday,
Alex,
like Alex Neil's listening to the Orient Outlook, the under-18s were supposed to be in action on Saturday morning. They were meant to go to Newport County. Game was postponed due to the pitch conditions, so no fixture yesterday for the Youngos.
So the main event of the day was Hartlepool United. Before the game, as always, we ran a Twitter poll to find out how you thought we'd get on in this match, and after 361 votes, very healthy number there.
Decent.
The vote ended as follows: 10% were cynical enough to think that we would lose, 23% were right, thinking we would go for the draw, but an overwhelming 67% of that poll people that casted their votes thought we would win.
Absolutely.
So thanks to everyone who did vote.
Very
much
confident
appreciated.
fan base there, as always. So 2 p.m, team was announced with Vigouroux in goal. Back four of Brown, Beckles, Turns and Sweeney. Midfield of Elmis, Prattley and Monco, with Smyth, Sotiriou and Drynan making up the 11. On the bench we had Byrne, Thompson, McCart, Hunt, Clay, Sadlier and Charlie Kelman.
Yeah, that's right. That meant there was one change to the starting lineup who drew at home to Colchester as Jordan Brown replaced Tom James, who wasn't even in the squad. Your thoughts on yesterday?
Yeah, do you know what? I would have liked to have seen Sadlier and Smith play on the wings. I thought Ruel, who was used, I think, in the pre-match interview and mentioned about getting his chance, which the club kind of highlighted. I thought that meant that Ruel might play actually in the middle, because obviously Ruel hasn't been playing in the middle. He's played on either side or as the 10. So I had a feeling it would be Sadlier and Smith on either side of Ruel, which I was quite excited about. So when I saw, obviously, Sadlier on the bench and both Drynan and Sotiriou playing, I thought, it's going to be a bit disbalanced, but obviously it's worked so well so far. I think Brown at right back, big call. Obviously, Jordan Brown's not played in a long time. Tom James completely out of the squad, which makes me think he's injured. I mean, we're not going to play the post-match this week, but Tom James, as far as I recall, wasn't even mentioned in post-match. Asked if he was injured or where he was. So I presume he's injured because he wasn't in the squad, but maybe it was a big talking point last week. Maybe he's dropped out of the squad. interestingly, looking at a bench, more defensive options than attacking options for the first time in a long time. Look at that, and it's only really Sadlier and Kelman from a attacking perspective, because normally there's more attackers that you can bring in. So I mentioned that. Also thought we could miss Theo today. Looked a bit disbalanced up top without Theo last week. Hoping he'd be back for this week. Didn't obviously happen. So confident in it, but a few questions I thought needed asking this one. Yourself?
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you say there. I think I would have probably, I forgot to do my fan hub, but I would have probably dropped out Drinnan and put in Kelman probably, because although he's been arguably trying his best, it just hasn't worked for him, and I think that Kelman would probably deserve an opportunity to be in the squad. For me, I was a bit sort of eyebrow raised about not seeing Tom James in there, but Jordan Brown makes sense to me because he's done well there. But actually, my thought process, as you were just speaking, was why is Adam Thompson not first choice to go in at right back, given how well he's done there?
Yeah.
I know he's a natural centre back. I know arguably his probably favoured position isn't right back, but nor is Jordan Brown. So as a natural defender, and don't get me wrong, this isn't a disrespect to Jordan at all, and I guess it's just shifting deck chairs around really on a cruise ship really, but ultimately I thought Adam would have been the replacement for Tom, and then you've got another midfielder on the bench, a utility midfielder who could either come in if we had a defensive reshuffle, but also someone who can come in and do a job in midfield for us if we needed that. Where's Tom James? Absolutely. What's happened there? Nothing about that. Where's Theo? I thought he might be back, but obviously his injury is obviously worse than they first feared, and I think Richie said last week that it's a bit of an unusual injury.
Well, he said in his post-match that Theo probably misses Carlisle, so probably don't see Theo next week, and hopefully makes the week after. So whatever it is, which hasn't been specified, is obviously a bit worse than what we realised. Also good to see Ed Turns in the 11. Obviously he was supposed to go and play with Wales. In Spain against Colombia, so obviously they sweet talked the Welsh FA to say, look, he's going to be better off playing in this one. So yeah, not bad. I mean, we had a lot of views on this one. It seemed to be a lot of talking points through the squad. Gorillas 1985 says James is dropped finally, or a mysterious injury. Thompson can't get in over a midfielder though. Wonder if that's because of his role in Colchester's equaliser.
Wilco 300 said would have gone with Sadlier on the left as he links up well with Sweeney, and Ruel in ahead of Moncur as he gets around the pitch more.
Yeah, interesting point there. Johnny Eppers said update needed on Theo. Meanwhile, Brown returning is a boost as he can ping a pass and give us some added stability. Concerned that we don't seem to like playing Smith and Sadlier in the same 11, as I think the latter could be a great foil for the former. It's very nicely put there, Mr. Eppers. It's like poetry in motion.
Yeah, it really is.
Good point there. Sadlier but done really well when he was getting a run in the squad. When Smith was out and it was Sadlier, Archibald. Sadlier was having a really good run of games away to Crewe. Sadlier destroyed him. So yeah, a bit surprised not to see Sadlier start, I must say.
Yeah, which is why I think that we were allowed to have Paul Smyth out for a little bit longer and allow him the recovery time that he really genuinely needed, because Kieran was doing very well in that position. So yeah, great point. Better late than never said, I think Richie might have run out of patience with Tom James. He really is off form. I like Brown's energy. Hope he does well.
Yeah, James O'Hagan tweeted us, said so many questions. Paul messaged back, said, well, what do you mean? So James O'Hagan came back, said, where's James? Where's Theo? Where's McCart been? Why can't Sadlier and Smith play at the same time? What's the difference between Coke and Pepsi? Has Sarge left? And most importantly, how biased is Jeff Stelling going to be against us today?
Yeah, definitely Coke. Has Sarge left? No. And Jeff Stelling will be very biased. Len Chin Chin 1 said, a huge match for both clubs. Think today will highlight our depth of talent. Team position looks good and expect us to dominate most areas. Hartlepool are fighting to survive in League 2. Will make this a tough game. Expect danger from Dan Kemp. We need a win or a draw.
Yes, obviously Dan Kemp, XO on loan at Hartlepool, doing very well for the host. And last tweet on this one, Paul Skinner 88 said, is Sadlier unfit or something? Why isn't he starting?
So the match kicked off, both teams needing the points for for a variety of different reasons at different ends of the league table, and we started off well, forcing a corner in the second minute, and Ruel tried to beat the Hartlepool defence 2 minutes later, but the ball was ushered out for a goal kick.
Certainly was. Let's fast forward into the 18th minute as George Moncur had a shot deflected wide in the 18th minute after some good work down the right from guest and friend of the podcast now, as I'll call him.
Absolutely.
Paul Smyth.
22 minutes on the clock now. Aaron Drinan fired wide after a low set piece from George Moncur found its way to him.
Yeah, let's go to the 28th minute. And Jennings headed well wide from a Dan Kemp in-swinger.
And the O's won a corner in the 38th minute. Jordan Brown took it, tried what looked like a pre-rehearsed routine as he looked for George Moncur on the edge of the box. Unfortunately, the ball got away from him and he couldn't get a shot away in the end.
Yeah, and that was about it for the first half. 1 minute of additional time. Referee, who was making his EFL debut, brought the half to a close with the scores goalless. So as you can tell, not much really occurring in the first half. Although I think it's fair to say Orient did have the better of the first half, controlled the game, but not really creating many chances.
Exactly.
But you can see Viggs has basically done absolutely nothing.
Nor is their keeper. So it was a bit of a we controlled it, but without really having anything eventful going on. Shrimpy_boy said again to that point, a bit of a nothing half that was.
Yeah, Popular 32 said, "What is going on? Royal looks off the pace, and that's for Drynan. You wouldn't think this was a side going for promotion."
Attendance for this one was 5,102, with 502 Orient away fans making that journey up there. And kudos to all of you who made it.
That is a very early start.
5 o'clock I saw people taking
Hartlepool
pictures.
and part of the Central Line was down from Leytonstone as well. So if you were getting the train, you'd have to make your way into the city and maybe have to take a bus replacement service to get in there. So yeah, amazing away supporting. So the second half got underway. No changes for the O's at half time. And 2 minutes into the second half, Paul Smyth won the ball back in midfield. He played the ball to Aaron Drynan, but his shot from a wide angle was well off the target. I mean, Drynan, there's going to be a lot of tweets on Drynan, so I'll probably leave my point on Drynan until.
Yeah, I think he's just desperate to score.
Starting to scuff now.
He's just snatching at shots that arguably he probably either could take an extra touch or pass to someone in a better position. It's a shame, but we want him to do well.
Absolutely,
while he's in an orange shirt, obviously. But 1 minute later, we took the lead on the edge. A minute later, we took the lead. George Moncur found Paul Smyth on the right-hand side, as Paul quite rightly said at the top of this show. He was just outside the area. He drove forward, cut inside his man onto his left foot, fired a low shot into the corner of Stolarchik's goal from just inside the area to make it 1-0, and that made it his 10th of the season. Your thoughts?
Good goal. A nice
Really
little
good.
pass from Idris to Moncur. Moncur done that a few times, just got the ball out wide very quickly. So obviously something they've worked on to the right-hand side, like Paul said, with the wing back being so high up the pitch. It's what Paul Smyth does, isn't it? It's what our mate does now. It's what our mate does. He literally gets it. Yeah, good finish. I mean, there must have been a gap that he's still very low, and he's just placed it into the corner.
With his left foot as well.
Good finish. At that point, you're thinking, right, we've seen this a couple of times now. Get into the second half, take the lead, and then let's just see it out. So when that goal went in, I thought, right, lovely to see. Let's go and get a second. But good goal. Yeah, you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Very high quality finish on his slightly weaker left foot as well. Makes it even more beautiful for me. So yeah, great.
Yeah.
Simple. It's a simple goal. There wasn't a lot of intricacy to it at all. It's just moving the ball quickly, getting it into
it's literally
position.
Ping to Smith.
And like Paul said, the wing back was higher up, which means that he was in behind and only had a slightly less mobile, centre back to deal with, and it was fine. He took him right, cut to his left, bang, shot past the keeper. Yeah. Arguably, maybe the keeper could have done better, but I don't really care.
I think it was. I don't
was a good finish,
many league keepers are saving that. Yeah,
exactly.
Great stuff. So 50th minute in, we went looking for a second. Jordan Brown got the ball, drove forward unchallenged, had a shot well over the bar, and 6 minutes later, he went into the refs book for time wasting in the 56th minute.
Yeah, it took a bit too long, I think, to take a throw in, I think it was. 58 minutes on the clock. First time we mentioned in a Hartlepool effort is Josh Amira, one of the top scorers in the division at the moment, surprisingly, had the beating of Ed Turns, but as he drove into the area, his shot went wide of the near post.
He's a big old boy, Amira, and obviously he turns against Amira. Didn't really look like the most fair battle.
He doesn't look that much shorter, Ed, but O'Meara's a chunky boy.
He's a big
He's
lad.
all up top. He's got skinny legs, but he's all up top.
Yeah, a minute later, Idris fired well wide with a first-time volley from just outside the area.
And the hour mark, Ruel was booked for pulling back on Silla.
Yeah,
no, that's not. That's SYLLA. That's the guy's name.
Not Silla.
Not Silla Black or anything like that.
Yeah, a few bookings in this one for the O's. Hartlepool made a change in the 65th minute. Worth mentioning, as McDonald came on, he made an instant impact. His shot stung Vigouroux's gloves as Vig's done well to turn the ball away for a corner. All started coming down their left at that point.
That's why we've mentioned that substitution. We don't normally care about Hartlepool opposition substitutions, but it is worth mentioning because it is him that eventually has an impact on the outcome of the game. 67 minutes on the clock now. Richie Wellens has seen enough and wants to make his changes. Rob Hunt came on. He replaced Jordan Brown.
That was because of McDonald. He said
Correct.
Post match.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we've mentioned that. That's so well made. 2 minutes later, Omar Beckles went into the referee's book after he kicked the ball away out of frustration of giving away a free kick. I think he brought Kemp down. There and out of frustration, whether he thought that was a free kick or not, he's kicked the ball away in the refs on his EFL debut.
Silly Omar.
So now Omar Beckles is on
So that's
a yellow card.
Beckles and Brown getting booked for like nothing. Literally time wasting and kicking the ball away. Triple sub for the Oslin in the 78th minute. As off came Paul Smyth, Jaden Sweeney and Alan Drynan. They made way for Charlie Kelman, Kieran Sadlier and Jamie McCart.
Since Hartlepool had made a sub midway through the second half of the McDonald substitution, they'd been more industrious. In the 80th minute, they ended up getting an equalising goal through Jennings as Ed Turns failed to deal with a long ball as it bounced high. Umira capitalised, won the ball, and his low cross found a way past McCart quite easily actually, and into the path of Jennings, who turned his shot past Vigouroux and into the far corner of the net to make it 1-1. Now I was a bit apoplectic at this point because I saw that and I thought Jamie McCart has done sweet nothing to deal with that properly. He's literally tried to stick a leg out to try and block it with the outside of his foot somehow. Don't know what he was thinking or why he was thinking it. I know I'm being uber critical, but that was poor defending. Granted, Ed Turns has made the mistake, okay, but in the second phase of that, you've got to do better. Like, the mistake's been made. We're all in the box. We've got to do better. You can see Beckles come sliding in to try and stop it. That doesn't work. But ultimately, McCart is an experienced defender, and for me, that was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Which I know sounds over the top, but that's the goal that's earned them, that's stolen 2 points from us, because we're not clinical enough in our box.
Yeah, I mean, it's defensively, it's poor all over the place. I mean, Ed Turns does make a mistake, but I still think if McCart cuts the ball out, we're not even talking about it.
Correct.
It doesn't even come into our sphere of even talking about it. If the cross comes in and McCart puts his laces through it and clears it into Rose's.
Absolutely.
Really disappointing. It sometimes there's a few players where defensively who we've got, and you go, actually on paper that's a brilliant signing, who just don't turn out to be very good signings for Orient, and unfortunately, it looks like Jamie McCart is another one.
Making a George Ray out of himself.
He's got great history, Jamie McCart. Good age, good pedigree. Great on paper, yeah, absolutely. Sign him up all day. In principle, so far, he's had a terrible first 2 games, which we've lost, got injured, been on the pitch for 3 minutes yesterday, put his laces through a ball and not done anything with it, and then they've scored off the back of his error. So, yeah, you could see he kind of wanted the ground to eat him up. You could tell by the reaction when it goes in. And that was obviously the equalising goal. So let's go on with the rest of the game. Huge let-off in the 85th minute as Hartlepool had an effort, hit the post, and then shortly after hit the bar. So McDonald fired the ball across goal on the left-hand side again, which was all the trouble was coming down that flank. Vigouroux was beaten, rooted to the spot, and the ball bounced back off the far post. And then 2 minutes later, a ball from the right was played in, and number 2 got in acres of space. He pulled the ball back for Dan Kemp, and from close range, Dan Kemp struck the bar, and the ball went over. Really, Dan Kemp should have scored that. Very lucky to get away with that one. In the 86th minute, though, it was time for the final O sub as George Moncur made way, and on came Craig Clay. And 6 minutes of time added on, played out, nothing further to report as the O's walked away with a point as the match finished 1-1.
So Richie Wellens' interview is on the club website and I think on YouTube as well, so you can go and watch that there. Because of time, we're conscious of time here. I'm wrapping up to this match. We're not going to play Richie's interview, but thanks to Dave for sending it to us as well.
It's worth watching because he does make quite a lot of points. He explains the substitutions. He actually, and it's been highlighted a lot, but he actually kind of blames Sweeney for the goal. And you're like, mate, Sweeney wasn't even on the pitch when the goal was scored. He kind of digs out Sweeney. He has a bit of a go at Sadlier as well for not having the impact that Sadlier should have had. So He also gives a good update on Theo. And as always, he gives a very honest appraisal of the games. 6 minutes, but well worth a watch on YouTube on the website.
It is interesting now that he has started to mention players and the negatives in their game that have caused us to be in a position that we're in at the end of a game. Now, look, in the grand scheme of it, we're still top of the league, but it's interesting because at the start of the season, it wasn't like that. So there's a slight interesting turn in how Richie articulates what's going on. Don't get me wrong, love the insight, but I'm just wondering whether or not that's helpful for the players, that it's being sort of publicly put out there in the public. But anyway, it is what it is. We're grateful for the openness and the honesty and transparency from everybody at the club. So the league table, then that point means we are still top of League Two. We're now on 37 games. We've won 21 of those, drawn 11 and only lost 5 all season. So 1 in 9 we're losing, which is unbelievable. Goal difference of 24 and we are now on 73 points. Also worth mentioning that Northampton beat Doncaster. They've now moved up into second place because Stevenage lost 3-1 at home to Salford gloriously, and Carlisle lost 1-0 away to Gillingham in like the 94th minute.
Yeah.
So that means that they all dropped. So top of the league as it stands now, top 5.
Yeah, so we are still top. 37 played, like we said, 73 points. Northampton, who looked like they were going to fall out of it, have gone up to second. I think they've won 6 on the spin. Northampton have now got 69 points, so they're 4 points behind the O's. However, they played a game more. Stevenage are in third, played 37. And I've got 67 points. So we're 6 points ahead of Stevenage. Stevenage seems to be falling off a bit of a cliff at the moment. Good. We thought after they beat us they'd go and push on, but they've fallen right off. Carlisle, who again looked like they were going to get promoted with us to be cruising, they've kind of had a bit of a tough time lately. They are now on 66 points, played 38. We're going to talk about Carlisle in a little bit as well, obviously, with next week's fixture coming up. And Stockport are 5th. You'd imagine Stockport won't go up automatically, but you never know at the moment. They've played 38 and sits on 63 points.
I do apologise. We're on 74 points. I made a mistake.
Oh, okay.
We're on 74, so we're averaging 2 points a game as it stands. Apologies, everybody. I know people pick up on that, so I just double check.
As they should, as you should if you're listening out there. So, Bearded Legende, your views on Hartlepool away?
I got quite a lot of views because when I was writing them, which is straight after the game, I was really frustrated at how that game ended because now it's back-to-back draws from winning positions. So I'm actually annoyed. I was actually quite annoyed that we've come away with a point, having been the slightly better side. Another poor first half, but Paul Smyth's magic in the second half has made an absolute magic difference to us. Our mate Paul Smyth. Was it necessary to bring Jamie McCart on? If we were 3 or 4 up and cruising, no problem. Get the guy competitive minutes. I think he played Tuesday night against Southend. Great.
Right, okay.
Tuesday
day, yeah.
So I think you got some minutes
Good point, actually, yeah.
But was it necessary when we're only 1-0 up and Hartlepool has slightly got their tails up because they're gunning for it? This McDonald's made a bit of a difference. But surely it's madness at 1-0 if we're trying to get a second goal to kill the game, to then bring on a player who's arguably ring rusty because he's not played in so long and he's just come back from injury. And obviously, arguably, Ed Turns could have, should have done better to deal with that. He didn't. It happens. But like we said earlier, in the second phase of now how do we deal with what's happened, it just wasn't good enough. So I don't know what he was doing for that goal. Only he knows. And again, I know it sounds like I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. We're game 37 of the season. We just need points on the board now, however they come, playing Barcelona tippy-tappy football or long balls, winning them, because the pitches are all boggy and rubbish at the moment, whatever it is. But that Hartlepool substitution made a difference in a positive way, and ours seemed to have dampened our creativity because we weren't really that creative and we seemed to sit back a little bit too much, and they seem to get their tails up, and they've then gone and hit the woodwork twice in separate situations. Dan Kemp hit the crossbar, should have scored that. Their man's just hit just on the inside part of the far post, and it's luckily bounced out for us. They're bottom at this stage of the season for a reason. It's not an accident. Like, it's not an accident that we're top. So for me, we should be taking max points against them, regardless of the fact that they've got a new manager in. But I guess reading a Hartlepool tweet, they've played better than their results suggested.
Yeah, they're not.
So,
if you look at the form table,
they've had some draws.
It's a tough one. Yeah. You look at the league table and you go, right, Gillingham, Colchester, Hartlepool to a lesser extent.
They've only lost 1 in 6.
Yeah, they've drawn and lost last 5.
They've drawn 5 their last 5
and
games.
they've had some difficult games last 5. They went away to Bradford and got a 2-2. They've had some good results, and Dan Kemp's obviously gone down well there, and they obviously are battling for their manager. You could see that in their performance yesterday.
He's got them set up right. Yeah. So look, it sounds really dramatic. It's one game in isolation out of 37, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But thankfully, the results around us were favourable because Stevenage and Carlisle lost. We've still got a game in hand to play. But, to end on 2 positives here, we're still top of the league by 5 points, which if you'd have offered me at the start of the season, would have bitten your hand off to be 9 games to go and be in this position. It just shows you the quality of this league. that everyone's having a wobble around us, and that's great. And we're averaging 2 points per game at this late stage of the season. Dream world, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
That's me.
Cool.
You?
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I really don't think it's the end of the world.
No, I don't think that's devil's advocate, though.
Didn't lose, well, not to you, but to a lot of people who are listening, who will be raging. And everyone can rage. It's everyone's prerogative to have everyone's own views.
True. Yeah.
For me, it's all about the time of the season. It is. There's going to be some freak results. Richie again said in his post-match, teams are going to drop points where they shouldn't do and where they wouldn't earlier in the season. There's going to be some mental results. It's all about the pressure now, isn't it? It's not about the performances. I couldn't care less how Orient play now. I just want them to get the 3 points. And if they don't, it's important not to lose. Forest Green today beat Sheffield Wednesday.
They wouldn't have dreamed of
top versus bottom. That wouldn't have happened.
That
wouldn't have happened 10 games into the season. It would have been a routine win for Sheffield Wednesday. They're so close to the line, they're wobbling. And Forest Green, freak result, because they're so close to going and getting sucked under, they pull it out of the bag. That's going to happen in League Two. It's going to happen at all stages of football. So, yeah, although we got great not to win, we didn't lose, and we've got more points gained on Stevenage, who lost, and Carlisle, who lost. Yeah, you can flip it and go, well, if we would have won the last 2 games, it's another 4 points. Yes, absolutely, but the world of football, unfortunately, doesn't work like that. No. And the start of the season was so strong, and we took so many points at the start of the season. It means at this point in the season you can draw 4 games in a row. Yes, admittedly, we should have won those 4 games, all against lesser teams in the table.
Yeah.
However, when we pulled away by such a long margin, it means you can draw 4 games and still be 5 points ahead of the team in second place.
Not lost in 9 games.
And if
we
win on Saturday,
the bigger picture,
haven't lost in 9 games. If we win on Saturday, that we'll come to, the gap between us and 4th gets huge.
Yeah.
So
11 points.
Yeah,
it would be if we win that. Yeah.
I'm still very much of the keep calm.
Yeah.
Don't panic.
Yeah.
And it's very easy, and I think we in a way encourage it for people to take a game by game view, because we do this on a week by week basis. I still look at it as, okay, where are we at in the league table after playing 37? If you deserve to win the league, you'll finish top.
Regardless
so after 46 games, if you deserve to win the league, you'll be top. If we don't deserve to win the league, then we won't win it.
Yeah.
If we deserve to get promoted,
we'll get promoted.
Then we'll get promoted. I didn't used to look at it like that. Kent Teague is the one who's really came on this podcast enough times ago. We look at it in blocks. We look at it the way we take it, and that's the way fans have got to look at it. We've all got to look at it like that. Yes, we're all a bit frustrated. Yes, we should have been out of sight by now. We should have had the trophy wrapped up. However, we don't. Nobody wins League Two with 9 games remaining. However, we haven't lost in 9 games. Smith is still pulling worldies out of the bag. We're in a great position. You can ask any other 23, our mate, so we can call him any time as well. He's going to regret that. 9 games left. 23 other League Two managers would love to trade places with Richie Wellens.
Yeah.
It's all gravy.
Can I just add to what you're saying there? You're right, because at the end of the season, when we get promoted, you're not going to remember that we drew 2 games back to back and drew from winning positions.
Some people will. Some people on social media are still talking about games from 3 years ago, which is fine, it's their prerogative. However, like I said, if we deserve to win the league, we'll win it. And if we don't and finish second, then I will absolutely take that all day. I've had people, my mates, say they'd be embarrassed to finish second. You'd be embarrassed and you stay at home when we go up, right? I'll be celebrating, because seeing some ludicrous stuff. And when, like you said, anyone offered this before the season started, 37 games, you're going to be top by 5 points, would you take that? I'd say 99.9% of Orient fans would have absolutely bitten your hand off.
And there's 23 other managers that want to be where we are. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. So those were our views. Great points made, Mr. Nussbaum.
Thank you, buddy.
And obviously, as always, we got probably a little bit more feedback on this this match than we normally do. So thanks to everyone who sent their views into our social media accounts. And again, we're going to read out as many as we can. But just because we're reading them, it doesn't mean we agree with them. There's a lot of frustrated people that tweeted, which is kind of great in one respect, that people are responding straight after, so you get an authentic view. I'm not necessarily sure how people feel today, having slept on it and then woken up. But
yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, we're a fan-led podcast, right? And we are lucky to have such a wide range and scope of views, which we always encourage. So yeah, I think the tweets that we get in are always a feeling of not all the fan base, because I would never say that, but an overwhelming view of the fan base comes in through the Outlook.
I think you get a gist.
And you can get a gist of what's feeling out there. And I understand the gist. And maybe, yes, these are all obviously straight after the game. Maybe 24 hours later, people go, actually, that tweet wasn't quite right to say.
My comments entirely were born out of annoyance and frustration, and then on the grand scheme of it, you step back of it, and look, turns out we're still top by 5 points. So MS Orient said, weak and pathetic yet again. Wellens has blown 2 points with his crazy substitutions. No way can you sugarcoat his mental decisions. This is not good enough. Hartlepool void all afternoon. We are top of the league and should be comfortable. Pour all over.
Yeah, Ross McCaffrey said, I've never been bothered how we've gone up, but we seem determined on current form to throw away leads in individual games and our lead at the top. We clearly need to rethink our game management.
Yeah, Joe Jessner, 16, along the lines of MS Orient, said, I love Wellens as much as the rest of us, but the substitutions are becoming a constant issue. If your subs aren't going to strengthen the team, then don't blooming make them. What made him think bringing McCart in that situation was a good idea? It was stupid.
Yeah, good point there. Joe Pavitt 0-0 says a joke. Every time we gain a lead, we sit back and relax. Wellens made ridiculous subs and absolutely killed us. We should have lost that. These are the games where we should be winning. That's where not bringing in enough reinforcements in January will kill us. Livid.
Joe Pavitt not happy. Paul Gregory said, Richie hasn't got much wrong, but the subs today were shocking. It's a crawl towards promotion when we should be cruising. I like how that's worded.
Yeah, that's worded very well. Yeah,
that's right. As long as we crawl over the line or cruise over, however we do it, as long as we do it, that's great.
Yeah, good point there. From Paul Orient_Ed said, absolute rubbish. I'm very fortunate to get a point. Royal keeps making the same mistakes, and at turns it's now becoming a liability. And how on earth is McCart a footballer? The only plus was the goal. The Orient Express has hit the buffers again.
Bog Stolix one said, absolutely fuming. Made a conference-bound team look like Real Madrid. Messing about, wasting time, and unnecessary substitutions again continue to cost us. Why was Sweeney taken off? He was in no trouble at all.
Yeah, a few tweets along the lines there of Sweeney. David Rickard 80 said, frustrating again, but a decent point given other results. 9 to go, and a huge chance next week to really kick on.
R. Coral 1972 said, unnecessary subs once again from Wellens, so there's a bit of a theme with these views. Did he learn nothing from last week? Terrible January transfer window and a manager who at the moment can't motivate the players. I've got a bit of an eyebrow raise on that one. I don't think that's right. We look like a team who's in the bottom 4, not someone who's top.
Yeah, I think everyone...
Respect your viewpoint, but I don't necessarily agree with the motivational
people with the
point.
subs are getting frustrated now, because obviously last week's subs didn't go away, and it's happened again this week. So obviously questioning the subs, which is a fair point to raise. The Kid Sampson so Royal and Drynan gave the ball away literally every single time they touched it. Innumerable opportunities to create, and we let Hartlepool off the hook time and again. Horrendous goal to give away, and then we bottled it. Should have lost. No personality in the side at the moment.
Venomous 1983, it's a new one for me, so welcome to the podcast. Getting a bit sick of hearing we'll take a point. We're top and need to start acting like it.
Yeah, another good tweet. The
Good
Dorset Vikings said, we've chucked away 4 points in the last 2 games against teams at the bottom of the table. Really does seem like the team is stalling under pressure. Doesn't inspire much confidence for the Carlisle and the Salford games. Doing all they can to chuck the league at the moment.
Dan Alton 2590 said, it's the 4th game running where we've been in front and we've needed the final whistle to stop us from losing. 1 or 2 games is a blip. This is now a massive problem. Picked a wonderful time to forget how to see a game out, and Rich has seemingly gone mad with these crazy subs. Fix up.
Dan Alton, close to saying mini crisis, instead says massive problems. We're not even going to go there. # mini crisis. Sunshine LOFC says, you could argue we got away with that. You could argue we threw it away. Disappointing.
Les LK52 said, we haven't played well for ages and that was no champions performance. At this rate we'll be lucky to finish in the top 3. We need to get Theo back quick and play Sadlier for Ruel, who had a mare today, but still another point towards our target.
Ewan Carter 24 says, appalling subs again 2 weeks in a row, and our decision making has cost us. They are second bottom of the league for a reason. Minus 26 goal difference, and we made them look like Real Madrid. Unacceptable.
Gareth JM said, massive wasted opportunity. Performance in the last half hour was appalling. Every single sub made us worse. Someone buy McCart a one-way ticket back to Rotherham.
Dave Brew 47976911 said, the good news is Stevenage and Carlisle lost. So could we. So a point isn't a disaster. But next weekend is huge. Ows v Carlisle, Northampton v Stevenage. That's going to be some game, that one. Yeah. We're limping over the line big time. I mean, next weekend obviously we'll come to, but obviously 1st versus 4th and 2nd versus 3rd. So points are going to be dropped by 2 of those teams next week.
Yeah, at some absolutely, it's getting tasty.
Maybe Stockport could go in and nick it, because I said about 5 minutes ago, I can't see Stockport getting in there, but obviously if results go their way on Saturday, Stockport could.
They can't break the top
Not
three.
Not on Saturday, but they could get much closer to it.
They can be within spitting distance of it. Absolutely. Squeaky bum time for them. John W999 said that was horrible to watch in the end. Remarkably, we're 1 point better off for automatic promotion, which is true. We became very passive going a goal up in recent weeks, and at 1-0, you're only one mistake from a disaster. All forgotten if we win next week. On the positive front, if we beat Carlisle next week, we're 11 points clear of 4th in all probability. Plus, we're 9 unbeaten.
Great point there. Beat Carlisle 11 points clear of 4th with 8 games left, if that's the way results go. Ian Hutchison on 08 said, respect the points away from home, closer to the finish line, and other results, all apart from Northampton, have been kind to us. Anyone think 3 subs in one go is upsetting the team too much, and it takes players too long to get up to the speed of the game? But then again, who am I to question Richie?
Vince Howard 73 said, bizarre subs by Richie. Why play a left back on the right when Tomo is on the bench? Why play a centre half at left back when Hunt could have just replaced Sweeney? Yet again, our subs benefited the opposition.
Yeah, well worded there from Vince. Well broken down there. Stephen LOFC, NUFC said, obviously massively frustrating, but I thought one positive was that Moncur looked like he's getting back to his best. He's done well at kind of spreading the ball out. And obviously gets an assist for our mate Paul Smyth's goal yesterday.
LOFC 1978 said, needs to change the mentality of the side and quick. Respect the point is possibly the most ridiculous saying in football, and it's certainly ridiculous to say against today's opponents. Where's the spark gone? Lack of confidence creeping in to hold onto a lead. It's worrying.
Ron Sampson 15, so we're struggling now. No disguising this. As soon as Hartlepool up the tempo, we were hanging on for dear life. The woodwork saved us twice within 30 seconds, and as I say, we're struggling. Today's opponents have let in 67 goals, yet we could only score 1, and they are going down.
TX Trev said, if you don't back the manager in January, this is what happens. The board seriously need to look at the way we recruit players next season, otherwise we'll come straight back down.
Steve, the F1, said the positive was that Smith looked back to his best. Hope he's still fit, because we need his goals. There's no other threat up front without Theo, and we've lost the ability to see our games out. Lucky to get the point, and that other results went our way.
Yeah, ACowan4676 said, watched on the stream, take a point considering the finish. We have relied on moments of magic a lot this season, and we got one today. However, individual decision making is poor in attack and defence currently. I thought the substitutions made sense except McCart.
Millar president said, lucked out with results around us, but once again too negative. When will we learn gamesmanship at 1-0 up will only come back to bite you in the bum. I'm also starting to worry about the amount of yellow cards we're getting for time wasting. We need all of our players available.
Rayleigh Dave said, we're so lucky. We are terrible at the moment, and as much as I value Richie Wellens, he makes the same mistake by making too many subs at the same time. The team loses all shape and momentum. It's 2 weeks running now. We didn't deserve anything, but the point could be so valuable.
Good tweet there, very good tweet. Terry.com said, obviously, Richie Wellens is credit in the bank, but those subs have cost us. Sweeney had been okay, and I thought Brown had a decent game considering no covering midfielder. It's a point that obviously Smith alluded to as well, where obviously he was getting further forward, so Brown had no one covering him. Can't change 30% of a side at once and expect cohesion.
Yeah, Orient Fan TV said, can understand fans' frustration after recent performances, and rightly so, but we're Leyton Orient and we always do things the hard way. Luckily, it seems that other teams are not taking advantage of our iffy performances. 9 more games left with Carlisle up next. Let's do this. I think it's also pertinent to add that other teams are having their blips, and this is just League 2 life.
Look, if we were like Stevenage, who seem to be losing games now and kind of falling behind, it'd be more concerning, but we're not. Like, unbeaten in 9 and still have won most of those if you look at it as a 9 and not as the last 4. So interesting there. Davy Bear says, I cannot understand the communal moaning on Twitter. We are 5 points clear with a game in hand, for God's sake.
Yeah, Veggie Jones said, at this stage of the season, most teams are fighting for something and not many games are easy. To be 9 unbeaten is a decent run at the back end of a season. This has been and continues to be an incredible season. It's a shame about the Melts giving the team a hard time.
Compositor there says, how does McCart get on ahead of Tomo and Shad? I mean, we've not even mentioned Ogie.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. How does he get on ahead of a fit Adam Thompson and Shadrach Ogie, who is arguably a left centre-back but plays well at left-back?
Yeah, mate, many percent. This time last year, Shad was first teamer, one of the first names on the team sheet.
Right.
Can't even get in the squad. We fell to pieces as soon as McCart came on. 8 points chucked away now in the last 4 games, and it's only because the teams below us keep dropping points that we still have a gap.
So this is just the league. That's just how the league is. People drop points at the most important times of the season. Paul Redrum said, what happened to our possession-based football since the turn of the year? If we're still playing that way, there's no way the last 4 games would have ended in draws. And surely Smyth should have played on the right-hand side and Sadler on the left. That is so balanced. Just to pick up on that, I think it's because Richie said I don't think it was the last game, but the one before, that we've been found out, and we're altering and we're trying different systems, which is probably why we might be seeing the results that we're seeing. But also, I think the reason, to your point about Smyth should have played on the right and Sadler on the left, is because he plays with inverted wingers, so they have to cut in.
Yeah,
it makes the pitch narrow. It makes it narrower, and it pulls defenders in and out like Concertina. So that's how he likes to play. Hopefully, I'm right, Paul. But if I'm not, maybe someone in the staff can correct me.
Billy Reid, 1989, very disappointing result, but it's not Dryden's fault. He's not had a good season, but he isn't a bad player. He's just low on confidence, and fans getting on his back isn't doing anything to help. He was good last season, and I reckon he will come good again next season. So obviously Dryden getting a lot of criticism after the game. Not many on our timeline, but lots of tweets out there. So Billy sticking up for Mr. Dryden.
Yeah, Ollie Folly Bolly said, all aboard HMS Orient meltdown. It's frustrating and it wasn't pretty, but come on chaps, we're still in a healthy position. The way rivals are faltered proves this isn't going to be a stroll.
Yeah, Bendy Bollard, I didn't go watch it, but a huge point with Carlisle losing, and again goes on to say, beat them next Saturday, 11 points clear of 4th with a game in hand and superior goal difference. We are so close.
Wiggy_cut said, definitely crawling towards the line like we did in the National League, and how Forest Green went up, which hasn't gone well for them. If we go up, which I think we will, got to have a realisation to how weak our squad is. If we go up thinking we have enough, then relegation is inevitable.
Let's just go up first, Wiggy, which I'm sure we will do. Gary Talbot 7 said, I was more panicked when we got Tom to Stevenage winning a dire run of form that I am today. Good point. If you ever offered me this position after the 21st of January, I would have bitten your hand off. With 9 games to play.
Spot on.
Good point.
5399 said, we haven't played well since January. This is not a freak result. The lack of investment in January and the signing utter rubbish, stroke being arrogant enough to believe we don't need a striker because our current strikers are all worse than useless. Getting very worried. Very concerned, Alb.
Stalkford O and the penultimate tweet in this one said, subs have killed us, but our nerve had gone well before that. Slowing the game down, and Housery, as soon as we scored, struggling. Go on and win it, playing positively. A hard watch, but I have to be pleased with the point in the end.
So this is the final word this week. It goes to Casey Adams, LOFC, and we've obviously read a lot of tweets, a lot of themes running through them, but a lot of great points that have come in. So thanks to everyone. But Casey, you've got the last word this week, and it says, would have taken a point beforehand today, gutted to let another lead slip, but other results around us have gone our way. Next weekend is as big as it gets. Just don't lose.
Yeah, so some wonderful tweets there. So a lot about the substitutions, a lot about McCart, obviously, a lot about not investing in January, a lot about the strikers, and hopefully that gives everyone a feel of the mood at full time yesterday. But let us know if you agree or disagree with any of those tweets we've read out. Those are all tweets that came into us at Orient Outlook, and we've not even read half of what came in, and still going on down our timeline. So thanks to everyone who engages and continues to engage. You can give us a follow or tweets at Orient Outlook. You can find us on email at orientoutlook@outlook.com. You can give us a Facebook message, Orient Outlook Podcast, or you can find us at Instagram at Orient_Outlook_podcast.
And that wraps up that game. Only left for us to cover on that, though, is the Town and Country Harlow Prediction League. We have an update on that for you. They're covering London, Essex and Hertfordshire. Town and Country Harlow are run by 2 Orient season ticket holders and fans. With the podcast, they've helped dozens of people move home. The best bit for them, or the best bit for people listening, is they offer all Orient fans and staff a discount off their already competitive fee. So if you are thinking of selling, you're just curious what your house is worth, save yourself a few quid, quite a few quid in their terms, because obviously fees are usually in the 4 figures. Keep it in the Orient family. Give them a call, 01279 883 444, or you can call Charlie Paul on 07528 471 497. Contact them on Twitter at T&C Harlow, or Charlie is on Twitter as well, Charlie_Paul.
Yeah, so a few correct predictions. Well done to Ian Hutchison 08, Floodgates, W Bear, Brooks Go 2, Wallerad, Nick_Clark 99, Alex RC 077, Chris W_1, Lenchinchen won, who all predicted 1-1 and get 3 points. But we had two guys who took max points yesterday. So well done to Les OK52 and Stephen Orient, who said 1-1 and Smith to score, taking the maximum, which means the top of the prediction league is led by that tall O's fan at 34 points. In second place on 26 points, we've got O's fan basing 25 points, Nick_Clark99, so he moves into third place following yesterday. He's joint now with Steve Chapman 4, and on 24 points, again, one of yesterday's winners, Ian Hutchison 08. So thanks to everyone who predicted. There's 9 games left, hopefully at top of the table, with more changes to come from that.
Yep, so let's move on then to Sunday the 26th of March. It was your 43rd birthday yesterday, and it was Richie Wellens, the gaffer Richie Wellens' 43rd birthday today, so happy birthday, gaffer.
It was also Super Mikel Arteta's birthday. There's so many things going on today.
Is it really?
Yeah,
how old is
with Arteta? Oh, God knows. I don't think he's 43 though. But yeah, I'm 1 day older than Wellens, which I love. Also today, the ladies' team were due to be in action against Actonians Thirds at Brisbane Road, but due to the weather conditions on the playing surface, and obviously the Arsenal-Tottenham ladies match took place there yesterday, the game of today was postponed with the rearranged fixture date to be announced in due course. So obviously we'll bring news that one when it gets a new date.
Mikel Arteta is 41. Let's wrap this
Baby.
up then, as we are now at an hour 20. Fantasy football, Stuart Coleman is currently sitting at the peak of the Orient Outlook Podcast Fantasy Football League on 1,866 points. Daniel Clark, 2 new names for me there, is 11 points behind on 1,855. Steve is still around 221st place out of 355. That's obviously levelled out now from last week's games. Obviously, it's international break, so that won't change this week. Over the coming week.
Yeah,
so
that
we'll
is
bring
true.
you an update next week.
All right, so positives and negatives in. So Mr. Levy, I think I've done positives last week, so down to you this week. So let's have them.
As previously mentioned, we are 9 unbeaten, which is a tremendous record. Our guest earlier today, Paul Smyth, is now on 10 goals for this season, and it is Smith. We need to stop saying Smythe. And obviously, and while, like we've always said, while we are there, and this will be a positive, we are still top of EFL League 2.
So lots to be positive
Absolutely.
about at the moment. So negatives. So this week we've got 3 negatives as well. First up, Theo's injury. So like we said earlier, it looks like he's going to miss Carlisle unless Richie is playing a misleading game, which hopefully he is, but it doesn't look like Theo at this point is playing next week. Second all, 2 points drop from a winning position, so we make that 8 points drop from the last 4, as I alluded to in an earlier tweet. And the third negative one we can't really ignore is Richie's subs for the second week running seem to have had overall not the best impact, a negative impact I think it's probably fair to say on the team. So 3 positives and 3 negatives.
Yep, so let's move on then to the Town and Country Hero of the Week. And it was a unanimous decision. We didn't put it out to vote because it was just a unanimous decision. And
it was unanimous, and we kind of knew who we were going to give it to anyway. And there won't be any surprise once we announce it. So let's do the old drum roll. It's our good friend, my best friend, it's Paul Smyth.
Well done, Paul.
Well done.
EFL Player of the Season in waiting.
Absolutely. Great goals, great lad as well. First time, obviously.
Appreciate it.
Meeting him. So next week's fixtures in, as we've alluded to, just the one fixture for the O's. Massive one, as we welcome Carlisle United to Brisbane Road on Saturday, the 1st of April. So Carlisle are up there. They're 4th in League 2. As mentioned earlier, they lost 1-0 away at Gillingham in the 94th minute. Their form over the last 6 isn't too bad. 1-3, drawn 2. Lost 1. I mean, I'm not seeing the Football League, so I don't know if they battered Gillingham and were just unlucky, or they just didn't play well, lost a last minute goal.
But they did.
They've not been too bad at all. Like I said, massive game, a sellout at Brisbane Road. Win that, and we go 11 clear in the automatic promotion places with 8 to go. It's a huge game. Like Paul Smyth said, important to get there, get behind the team, which we've been doing anyway, to be fair. Yeah. I think so. Massive game.
Just to add context to that, the 3 that they did win were games 1, 2, and 3 out of the last 6. So the last one they lost, and the 2 prior to that they drew. So they haven't won in 3, if you look at it that way.
Do you know what? It'd be interesting to see how many away fans they bring. I know we've sold out the home end, but obviously Carlisle is an absolute mission. They're not the biggest club. I think historically they haven't brought that many to Brisbane Road.
They've got a London fan group.
Be interesting to see how much they fill out. As much as it's a big game for us, I think if they lose, it will put them further behind. So
it won't be high hundreds. I don't think.
Should be a lively atmosphere, I'd say, on Saturday.
You'd like to think so. Yeah. So a sponsorship reminder: don't forget to get in touch with John and the fantastic team of experienced florists at Carroll Langley Florists. Call 0208 529 4130, or you can contact them on social media. It's Carol Langley E4 or at Essex Biz on Twitter. They're also on Instagram. Go to their page, Carol Langley Florist. That's Carol with an E on the end. And they're also on Facebook. Just search Carol Langley Florist.
Absolutely. So that is it. Thanks for joining us for episode 315. And on one hand, it's another frustrating result for the O's, having taken the lead in a game we should have seen out and won, whilst on the other hand, another point gained, and we're still top and clear by 5 points with a game in hand and other results going our way at the weekend. So next week we expect a tough test, as Hartlepool United are in town, have been in good form and will not be a pushover, and the O's will need to be at it from the first whistle to the last and ensure we get all 3 points, which hopefully we'll be talking about and celebrating about in our next episode.
Absolutely. If you're listening on iTunes, please subscribe, give our podcast a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform you get your podcast from. If you're listening on SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn and Stitcher, add us to your favourites, and that way you'll have all the podcasts available as soon as we upload them. We're also on smart speakers, the Fan Hub app, so listening to this podcast has got even easier. It couldn't be easier to listen. If you've got an older relative, a loved one, a friend, someone who's got a passing interest who in Leyton Orient who you think would be interested in hearing what's gone on at the club, grab their phone, help them, download it for them, and pass the pod.
So a massive thank you once again to Paul Smyth for coming on the podcast. Absolute pleasure to have him on for the first time. Massive thank you to the club. So Luke, Tom, thank you for helping us to get Paul Smyth on the podcast. We hope everyone enjoyed that interview. It's not over yet, as we'll be back with episode 316 next week with all the information and views that you could ever need. We look forward to hearing from you, and as always, keep calm, stay safe, have a great week, and listen to the Orient Outlook podcast.
Up the O's.